We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 5 of Video Vantage, our marketing podcast where we chat all things marketing and comms. My name is Haley. I'm the growth marketing manager at Biteable, and I'm joined by my co host, Mike.
Hello, everybody.
Today, we're going to be talking about how you can boost your social media engagement with videos, and I think we should just get right into it. Mike, do you have
Yeah.
any tips for how to create attention grabbing videos on social media?
I mean, I almost feel like this question's better for you. I think because because you do such a great job of creating, all the videos for Biteable that just get so much traffic. But I think, um, I guess my observation is, I think for attention grabbing, you know, you need to like your video needs to just to jump right in, right?
Yeah,
You can't have like this long drawn out opening, right? So
yeah,
like the things that you
absolutely.
normally would see with video, like just have some good cuts, some good transitions, letting people know what you're about to say in your
Yes,
video, I think is important as opposed and then you can like take your time explaining it,
totally.
but I think you have to just jump right in and tell them. Um, and then I don't know, there's all kinds of stuff maybe like around like trends that maybe you can speak more clearly to or more accurately to than I could. But um, that's kind of my observation. But like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. A few things I've noticed with our videos that tend to help them perform well. Also, what I've noticed just with attention spans. I think the average attention span used to be 7 seconds, but I'm sure it's much lower now with
I bet.
all of the short form video. So I think if you are talking to the camera in your video, adding a hook in the first like second of your video and kind of just making it a little bit clickbaity to really capture that person's attention and let them know like what they're going to get from your video. Or if you're not talking to the camera and it's more of like a trend focused video, there you're relying pretty heavily on the audio, which is normally quite attention grabbing. But another thing I like to do in our videos is add quick transitions. And I add a transition normally within the first second of the video. So it could just be something like a jump cut from me sitting at my desk to me like
Hmm.
on the couch or a different angle of my face. And that just kind of makes it a little bit more interesting, I find. Another tactic that I've seen a lot on TikTok and Reels is where people will tell stories to the camera, but while they're telling stories, they're doing something completely unrelated, like cutting up a watermelon or making a sandwich, just something that is distracting you while you listen to them. Those things are very captivating, and it's kind of like the latest trend that I've seen on social.
Yeah, and I've seen that as well. And to me, it's always felt like it's kind of like a storytelling technique.
Yes.
Like all the movies. I like to watch movies, and like a lot of people do, I think. And like, but I try to pay attention to like what are they doing here that's keeping my attention and keeping
Yeah.
me going,
Yeah.
right? And it's that voiceover within all the background stuff of like, okay, I'm getting more insight into this person.
Yeah.
I'm much more engaged now, and I think those are the types of techniques that I think really you can learn from other videos
Yeah.
and then apply them in your own.
Completely agree. I do the same thing as I'm scrolling. I try to not only pay attention to what is capturing my attention, but also what's losing my attention.
Mm,
So then I'm like, ooh, I shouldn't do that in a video because I scroll really quickly. It's just part of my job is to like capture that research. So I have to go pretty quick. But on TikTok, if I scroll past somebody's video before a sound has even come out, I'm like, wait, why did that happen? And normally it's things like bad lighting, the angle was weird, it was too slow to get started. We have a
yeah,
video actually on our YouTube channel about the new, phenomenon called the millennial pause, where
I love
millennials
that
are
one.
prone to, like, pausing at the beginning of their video and having that awkward blank stare, and it's just like you completely lose your viewers in that half a second. But, yeah, so I kinda try and keep that in mind when I'm scrolling as well.
The funny thing about that video, about the millennial pause was like how well, A, how I think how real it is, and then B, like how short the pause is.
Yeah, uh-huh, it's not long.
Alright, hey, awesome. Um, hey, speaking of TikTok, I think you just mentioned that. Um, I think you do a phenomenal job of coming up with ideas for TikToks for the Biteable channel. You've been featured on other channels and interviewed for like, hey, how do you do these types of things? Um, I'm curious if you can share with people, like, how do you find ways that you can recommend to others to leverage popular trends or
Yeah.
popular topics to
Mhm.
help a video get more reach?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's really clever ways that you can apply trends to whatever niche you've already set up on your channel. But I think the main thing that has to be in place for any of that to work is trust from the leadership team and trust from like your company overall. I always tell people when they ask like why I think Bitable's TikTok page has been so successful, not only are the videos funny and relatable, but I think it's coming like top down, like you and Brent and everybody on the leadership team trusts my ideas and I'm
Mhm.
not running through like 500 pieces of and layers of approval before I post a video. I have like an idea in my head, and if I think it's pretty timely, then it could be 5 minutes from when that idea is in my head to when the video is filmed and posted. And I think that's what really works these days is just being so quick. So I know we have an example queued up, but one thing that we really lean on for Bitable's TikTok page is those trending audios and kind of thinking of different relatable scenarios and pairing that with the audio. So the example
Yeah.
we'll show here, my personal TikTok For You page has been absolutely full of Taylor Swift Eras tour content, and I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Seems like every night she has a show, I'm getting updates on what her, like, secret songs were or clips from the show, whether it was raining or whatever went down. So there was a show over the weekend where there was an incident with a security guard that was being a little bit too harsh to some of the audience members and didn't want them near the barricade. So Taylor was actually interrupting her song Bad Blood to yell at the security guard. And of course, TikTok, within about 12 hours, that footage became a TikTok sound and kind of just like jumped on the bandwagon pretty quickly. I think when we posted the video, the sound had about 600 uses, which is embarrassingly low for TikTok and for me to have found it. But
Yeah.
I'll play the video now just so you can get an idea of how we've kind of taken these sounds and trends and applied them to our niche, which is mainly working remotely or content around working remotely. So let's see if this works. We'll add this to a screen. So just kind of like a silly little scenario, but I'm sure anybody with pets or honestly children that works from home can relate to this, like just being interrupted. And that's why the video did so well. Within 24 hours, it had over 1 million views, and currently it has over 160,000 likes, which Mike and I were just talking about this before. Like that's a wild number.
I'm being interrupted right now by my dog. So,
Yes, I did hear her in the background.
anyway, I love that video. So, and I guess maybe when you're thinking about like not necessarily TikTok stuff, but you make a lot of other great videos for the Biteable channel, the
Yeah.
knowledge bite stuff where you're giving broader tips and tricks. How do you think about like the optimal length
Mm,
for
yeah.
the video and whatnot? Because
Yeah.
I also know like you're thinking and you're keeping in mind you're going to share it other places too, I believe,
Totally.
right?
Yeah, yeah. We're all about repurposing the content here at Biteable. As a small marketing team, it's like, how can we get the most juice out of that squeeze? So I think the first thing I consider is where is the video going to be posted? And that's my main like determine determining fact about how long it'll be. If it's on TikTok or Instagram Reels, for example, historically, our content on both of those channels has been quite short, and that's where I've noticed the most. Like, our sweet spot on TikTok is 7 to 10 seconds, which
Hmm.
feels so short, but at this point, we've created thousands of videos in that length, so anything longer for us feels like too long.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll stick around on that length. That being said, on shorts, we are going with a slightly different content strategy where it's a little bit more educational, but it still has that kind of humor side of it. On shorts, our videos tend to be about 30 seconds to a minute long. And I think there has been some research recently where I can't remember who, someone studied millions of YouTube short videos, and they determined that the ideal range for those or the ideal length was about a minute long, which is a lot
Mm.
longer than you'd expect for short form content. But typically, they are more kind of like get ready with me style videos or talking head content. So I do keep our shorts a little bit longer. And then for our longer YouTube main channel videos, I keep those quite short too. We used to post a lot of how-to tutorials, and we noticed that after our intro, when we got to the actual tutorial, which was pretty Bitable focused, our viewers would really drop off. And that was normally after 2.5 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So I try and keep all of our new Knowledge Bites videos around 2 to 3 minutes for a few reasons. One, to capture viewers. Two, because it's just a lot quicker for me to film and I can get that content out faster and then use it in other places. And I try to make that content kind of on the pulse of what's happening in the industry. So recently it's been a lot of AI videos, and obviously that is changing so quickly. So if I film a video and then post it 3 weeks later, it's probably outdated by that point.
Yeah, it's awesome. Um, let's see here. Um,
I think this one's
yeah.
pretty interesting.
Any
How
questions?
important is it to understand the target audience when you're creating video content, and how can you kind of cater to specific demographics?
Yeah, for me, I think I mean, you know, that's just like almost kind of, marketing 101 in terms of just like, know who you're talking to, right?
Yes.
And who you're serving. Um, I think we've all seen that, where like you might make a mistake where you like maybe your messaging is off and it falls flat completely. So knowing who you want to or who you're trying to, engage with your content, get back to your site for conversion. The more you know about them, the better you can cater your video to or your
Yeah.
content, whether it's video content or not video content. I think that's the most important thing. I think.
Yeah. I think the soundtrack is kind of a key part of that too, especially if you're creating like marketing style videos that are really rely on the soundtrack and there's no talking. Because
Hmm.
soundtracks can really convey like a lot of emotion in the video, and they really kind of set the whole tone. So I think it does come back to what you said about like knowing who you're talking to and then picking the video elements based on what they would enjoy. For example, I think a very corporate audience, normally those videos have the classic like piano and violin tone. Whereas if you're targeting a Gen Z audience, they'll probably like fall asleep if they hear that. So you
Oh,
need something a
instantly,
little bit
just lose
more
them.
upbeat.
Yeah, for sure. Um, what are some things that you think about for, um, measuring if something's successful? I
Yeah,
mean, I'm happy to chime in on some things I think too, but I'd love to hear from your perspective. Like, what do you look at to be like that worked,
for sure.
or more importantly, maybe like that didn't work?
Yeah, definitely. The main thing I look at is engagement rate. It has changed slightly in the past few months, but up until most of our history with social media at Biteable has been targeting awareness. So I would kind of focus on impressions, how many people our content was reaching, and engagement, which is how many people engaged with that content. But really, all of these social media algorithms change so much. So I love to look at engagement. It just gives you a really good idea of like, did people enjoy that content? Because you can look at how many people viewed it, and it might be a lot, but maybe not many people were liking it or engaging with it. So there might be some disconnect there. And on flip side, sometimes you get videos that don't have a ton of views, but there were like a ton of comments on it and people really seem to love it and share it. And I think that's a great indicator of like that message really landed. So I do take a look at impressions and engagement, but I really focus on the engagement rate for it. And then you can kind of just get the overall sentiment too. Like, was it a positive engagement? Were they negative engagements? Did you like stir up some sort of controversy, or were people agreeing with you? And you can kind of take it from there.
Have you seen like many videos? I mean, whether like maybe ours or even others, like I don't see a lot of like negative thumbs down type of stuff, and I don't see a lot of negative comments, or the ones that I do, I almost think that they're not that bad necessarily,
Yeah,
because what I've seen is that like your fans, if you will, right, almost kind of come to your rescue and really
absolutely. Yeah.
engage, right? So
Mhm.
I think people shouldn't be afraid of negative comments.
I completely agree, and I feel like having that slight edge, not I don't wanna say controversy, but having something that's, like, slightly maybe a hot take in your video is a great
Mhm.
way to generate that engagement and, like, get the ball rolling there. We post a lot of work from home content on TikTok, which some people call remote workers lazy, or, like, say you shouldn't be taking a shower in the middle of the day, or you shouldn't be doing that load of laundry, and it's
Yeah.
kinda like that gets the conversation coming, and sure, we might get some negative comments from them, but yeah, you have all of those people who know who your brand is, know the content you create, and they've built that community around you, and they really like go to bat for you in the comments. We're very lucky. for Biteables page, we have a really positive community and we don't get negativity very often, but sometimes your video just makes it to the wrong side of the algorithm and you can't really control that.
Yeah, can't control it. But I also think like it's important from a, you know, for your audience to trust you to
Yep,
have that authentic take. Like, I
totally.
don't think it's good advice for anybody to like be controversial just for controversial sake, right?
No.
If you really believe something and you're authentic about it
Yeah.
and you're not like, you know, doing it just for the click, I think
Yes.
that's important too, I think.
Totally, yeah. I think it kind of, like, helps build your personality on that app and helps people kind of build that relationship with you because 'cause they're really like, "Oh, yeah, I really agree with that." That was our
Mhm.
first video that went mega viral was, like, I don't wanna say borderline controversial, but it was about taking a shower in the middle of the workday and, like, how great it is. And 95% of the comments were like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't think anybody else did this. This is amazing." And then you had the 5% that were like, "You're so lazy, get back to the office." And it's like, "Okay, you know what? You can't win them all."
Yeah, I never left the office.
Yes. I won't be going back. Uh,
That's
well,
awesome.
we're already at the end of our 15 minutes. That went by really, really quickly today.
Yeah, I did. Appreciate it,
Thank
Haley.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for everybody who joined us. We'll see you all next Thursday.